the water heaters, and they would be sure and boil up water and get clean Saturday night before Sunday morning church. For the last 31 years, I've been playing rock and roll for people who have never seen a band once in their lifetime, who lives once a week. And there's 7 of us parking cars at the moment. We had an hour setback with the power and found it to be a bad extension box. This is the culprit. Actually, it was made for me years ago by a contractor. We played some music for some contractors, a piano player and he made that for us. He made one for him and one for me.
Is there a trash can somewhere?
I don't know, maybe it could be repaired.
Try fixing it?
Maybe, I don't know, Michael will know. Anyway, we're called Saturday Night Bath, and going to unwrap Mr. Bass here. We have some signs that correspond with what we talk about, so I'll show you those right away. So as I unwrap it, we have double bass, contrabass, and contrabasso. It sounds the same in Spanish as well as Italian. That's 3 names right there. Double bass, contrabass, contrabasso. Contrabasso in Italian as well as Spanish, it sounds exactly the same. Then you have bull fiddle. That's number 4. And you can unwrap it, you can unfold it, that would be perfect. If you unwrap the bull fiddle one. Here we have, yeah, thank you. There you go. You got bull fiddle, you got doghouse, and tololoche. 3 more names. You got bull fiddle, doghouse, and tololoche. And you have double bass, contrabass, contrabasso. The next one up is string bass, bass viol, double bass, and upright. If you come around the front and grab the front, there you go, now you got it. Now he's got it. Let's hear it for our sign guy.
Yeah.
Extra credit. String bass, bass viol, stand up, and upright.
Rolando.
I want to address this thing. It happens to be a very old one. Hundreds. It's very, very old. Even older than me.
How old is that bass?
It was made somewhere in the 1800s.
Made in the 1800s. That's older than some of the guys in the band. What? I was talking about
Which
you.
ones?
I'm not saying who. I'm just saying some.
But it is very old, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, these are all base names too. So John already passed this course just for the work he's doing over there.
Well, wait a minute, he wanted to play some drums later on for us too.
And he's gonna pass next year's course too in that case, all in one day.
See, what you're hearing right now is how he's tuning the bass,
Tuning it up.
which is one reason why I started playing the drums. Because all of these string players need to tune the instrument 10 times a day.
You needed how many? How many for the drums?
I tuned mine the last time 5 years ago.
And he's bragging about it, okay? Think about that.
Okay, where you going? Watch out.
Yeah, so this, Howie's got strings on that bass. It's like a guitar. Everybody knows what a guitar looks like. This is a little bit like a giant guitar. It has strings on it. When he plucks the strings vibrate like this. And you can't see it because they're vibrating so small that you can't see the movement with your eye. But those strings are vibrating back and forth. Every musical instrument has something that vibrates. So on the bass, it's the strings.
There's an electronic pickup here under this piece of called feet. This is obviously called a bridge. This is the headstock. Tuning gears. Sometimes you see them in the orchestra, they have big old things they have. It's called a,
Extension.
an extension. It lowers one of the string caps a little bit. So you. I don't care about it.
Right here.
Anyway.
You can also get it over there.
What happened to trees?
No idea.
I guess something happened.
I can text him where we are.
Okay, well, let's get to it.
Play a song.
Good.
Sometimes you play songs.
Confused when she gets a text message.
You should be power right over here. Where? Over here on the other wall. There's some too. Okay. Try the wall. This wall over there. How it's plugged in next to the door.
The reason Howie's our boss is because the bass is the first instrument to stand up upright.
That's a joke that is called a stand-up bass.
Tough crowd, jeez. You should have seen last night.
Yeah. No, down. Thank you. That stand-up joke was a little joke there. That's two of the names of that bass. It's a stand-up bass instead of an electric bass. He's got an electric bass that looks like a guitar, but the big one here is called a stand-up bass. It's also called an upright bass.
And another name is the doghouse,
Doghouse, right?
which is where I've been sleeping lately. You remember those things?
That's right.
And Michael's going to play a harmonica. You have a chance to win a harmonica if you can remember 10 of the things we talked about.
Yeah, these names that we're holding up, if anybody wants to make a point of remembering some of the stuff, I mean, you don't have to listen to what we're talking about, but if you do, and you can remember some of what we said, remember some of those names, we're going to have a little contest after. Marcus, can you get that? Student master down a little bit. Yeah, if you want to come up here afterwards and just tell us, I remember the doghouse, down. I remember doghouse, I remember upright, stand-up, violon grosso, all those names. We're going to give away, we got brand new harmonicas.
Yeah.
We're going to give away some of these. Anybody can come up afterwards and just tell us the names that we're holding up all these signs, or anything we talked about. That's what we're giving away, harmonicas like that. And if anybody cares, if you'd rather, do we have some sticks, Marcus?
Here we have stick
Yeah, we're going to
drumsticks.
give away some drumsticks too. If somebody would prefer to have a pair of drumsticks, you can choose what you want. Anything but free lunch.
The drum set is one of a little bit expensive instrument, but the drumsticks are one of the cheapest instruments, and you can pretty much learn all that you need to learn as a drummer with just the sticks in your math book.
That's right.
That's what I use the math book for.
Learn how to play drums on it?
Yeah.
Man,
Social studies.
Man, social studies on the map book. There's some names: bajo, violon grosso.
Grosso.
Yeah, all these names. If you can remember some of these names, come up afterwards. We're going to give away some free harmonicas.
Violon grosso.
Hey, let's play a song right out of my
That's right. We're running out of jokes now. We're running out of jokes.
Oh, my A-list jokes are good. Yeah, we need to play a song. Your violon so grosso.
Personally, I like the doghouse.
Yeah, that's where I slept last night, believe me. That's why I went back.
So you might notice that it looks like a giant violin. Everybody know what a violin looks like? Okay, so imagine it looks the same shape as a giant violin. The violins, all those strings look the same, but in different sizes they're called different instruments. So this one is the biggest one, it's called a bass. The next one is where they sit down and kind of hold their legs, they play like this, or like that. Everybody knows that's a cello. Oh wow, you guys know about this. We go to school sometimes, people have never seen instruments, they don't know the names of them. And some of you may not know the names of these, that's why we're talking about it. So after the cello, the next one, it's a little bit bigger than a violin, who knows? Looks just like it, you play it on your shoulder. Fiddle. Fiddle's actually another name for violin, but that was a very good guess. Anybody just a little bit bigger? Violin's like this long, the next one's this long. It's just viola.
Voila. Voila.
Who said that?
Extra credit.
Me? Look at
Yeah.
that.
What do you mean no? Aren't we supposed to be giving out extra credit left and right?
We've been promised we can promise extra.
That's right. Anybody smiles at us, they get extra credit. You guys are going to go home with great marks today. Teacher says, I don't think so.
Everybody knows what that is? Yeah.
What do you got? Buddy?
That's a bow.
Oh, same girl. Do you play? Somebody in your family play?
Oboe.
Somebody.
I played the oboe and the guitar.
The oboe and the guitar.
Oboe's a hard instrument.
That's tough, right? Harder than the guitar? Way harder, right? Just getting that sound to not squeak, right? Yeah, that's a tough instrument. That has what we call a double reed. That's right. It's a black stick looking thing. It looks like it's like this long. It's black and it has little keys, what they call keys, all the way down, and you got to play feed them down. That looks like a clarinet, kind of, not exactly. But see, every instrument, like I say, every instrument has to vibrate something. When we do that, the metal's vibrating. Every instrument, because they vibrate, what they do is, when they vibrate, they move the air around them. Like, for example, when I do that, it's actually pushing the air next to it, it's pushing it down and up and out. And what happens is it pushes it in waves. When it vibrates, it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So it pushes a little bit, and it pushes again and again and again, and it comes at you the same amount of waves that it makes get to you. They come to your eardrum. Your eardrum is literally a piece of, I guess it's not skin exactly, but it's tissue, and it looks like a tiny little drum. It is an actual stretched tissue. What happens is when you vibrate any instrument, it makes waves in the air goes into your eardrums, the waves do. When they hit your eardrum, they make your eardrum vibrate the same way they're going. So if it hits you like boom, 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 your eardrum goes and that is translated into your brain, as sound. Every instrument vibrates a different way and a different amount. The speed is called a frequency. Some of them vibrate at a very high frequency. Some of them vibrate at a very low frequency. The bass it vibrates very slowly, so it makes low notes. The cymbal that he's tapping vibrates very quickly, so it makes very high notes. Every instrument has higher and lower notes. They all vibrate different notes. They come through your drum. For example, some of the ways things vibrate, we have strings on this bass. When he plucks that string, the whole string is going, if it's like that, it's going boom. And when he changes, he moves his finger up the neck, he's making a shorter string, so it makes a higher note. The smaller the part of the string is, the higher the note. It's the same with all the instruments. The smaller the instrument, the higher the notes. So for example, the difference between that big bass and a violin, the strings on the violin are only this long. The strings on the bass, as you can see, are 4.5 or 5 feet long. The longer or the bigger the instrument, the lower the note. Marcus, for example, has got small drums, he's got big drums. So the small drum makes a higher note, and as it gets bigger and bigger, it makes lower notes. Same thing on the bass, he's got a very thin string on the top. It's lighter, it makes faster vibrations, it makes a higher note. When he moves his finger up the neck, he's cutting off part of the string, and he's only vibrating a shorter part of the string. So it's a smaller piece, again, it's higher. This little thing, compared to those big sounds he's got, way high notes because they're only this big. Little tiny metal reeds in there are vibrating. Compared to these guys' huge instruments, I get really high notes, I get a lot lower notes. What do you got over here, Dave? He's got some instruments, he'll tell you about them too. Number one.
All right. The kids are all right.
So we're going to play some rock and roll for you today.
Have you seen our paperwork? No. You might want to cover your ears.
How about we turn down? Why don't we turn down? We don't hurt anybody.
Well, we've been playing at these big
Rock and
concerts
roll.
like the Forum and
That's right.
stuff. Yeah.
Rock and roll is always kind of a loud format, but we'll try and behave ourselves today so we don't drive you into the next room. Yeah. So watching our volume, we're going to be super careful.
All right.
And we're going to see what we can do here with some rock and roll. This is from the 1960s. I used to tell people this is music from before when you were born. It's gotten to be now where it's music that's from before your parents were born. We're getting back there now.
Another century.
Yeah, that's right. This for another century. Right, the century isn't that long ago.
1, 2, everybody go. I
Don't mind. I can do my girl. I know them all pretty well, but I know sometimes I get out in the light. Better be running high with the kids are alright. Kids are alright.
It's one of his songs. Pete Townsend.
The band was called The Who,
The
1960s.
Who? That's him. Who?
Right. Our next song, we're going to do Got My Mojo Working. This is a blues song. It was probably
Willie Dixon.
30s or 40s.
He was a bass player. He used to wear a hat. He wrote a lot of songs. This is one of them.
A lot of blues songs.
1, 2, everybody go. Gypsy woman giving me advice. Oh, there I go, please. Be cool, cool, cool as ice. She said, I know I'm a gypsy boy. I'll give you all your money. I got my mojo working. I got my mojo working. I got my mojo working. So his name was Willie Dixon, Dixon. I believe his daughter's still alive and has a foundation in his name. He wrote that song along with a whole lot of other blues songs. His daughter plays drums, Harlan said.
Yeah, he wrote a lot of songs that other groups did that are classics in the field of blues music.
He's the bass
Written
player.
a lot of classic blues
Bass
songs.
player.
He was one of the masters at that kind of music. Dave, what do you got?
Dave, you up?
All right, here we go. Here's a sample of my big hit. You might have heard me before.
comedy. You'll recognize it any time now.
This is, of course, you have to go down to the boats to hear it. Okay.
Down to Harbor,
That's okay. Anyways, on to the next subject. Here we go. This is one of the bigger instruments in the band next to the bass. Of course, the bigger an instrument is, the lower it sounds. Is if I take all my, if I put all my fingers down, I'll play my classic hit there, that low note. But if I take them off, it'll go a little bit higher. In fact, we got a little song that goes like this, kind of goes low, high, A flat, low, high, 1, 2. That's kind of a swing and song, and the
Never mind.
over here I have the tenor sax, and that goes a little bit higher. I'll show you. All these instruments are made of brass, but they're not considered brass instruments. They're considered woodwinds because they're related to the clarinet and the oboe also. But right here is an example of the saxophone.
See, smaller instrument, higher sound.
And then, hey, this is my particular right? This is my time. Wait a minute. Anyways, the thing that the saxophone and the clarinet have to do is the reed is in common, but they're also related to the flute, and the flute goes even higher.
Show us, Dave.
And the flute, you have the way you get the sound is kind of like the way you would blow into a bottle. So if you ever take one of your Tio Leo's empty beer bottles, you can try blowing into it. You blow a little bit over and a little bit in, and then it gets a whoo sound. But that's how the flute gets the sound. It doesn't have a reed. So we might play the song with the flute right now. How about one by the great Tito Puente from New York City, A minor D7. It's in the key of A minor D7. That's not a real key.
What happened to something?
That's a great key, thank you. Famous by Carlos Santana.
Well, what's up next? Number 4?
Number 4.
It's called In a Different World. You've never heard it before.
There is a microphone. Which one?
Maybe monitor, no monitor.
Just
Come on. 1, 2, 3. Not that? Which one? This guy?
testing, testing. Probando. Testing. Testing, testing.
What do you want to do? I think it's In a Different World. The song's called In a Different World. Kind of Ricky.
Reggae.
We're going to do an original song next. This is one that our fearless, upright, stand-up leader, and for those names, those are the names.
Wawa pedal in a stand-up.
We're gonna play a song that Howie wrote called In a Different World.
It's called the Wawa pedal.
He's got a little box there called Wawa pedal. Makes funny adjustments to his thing.
1 and 2, everybody go. Neighbors, neighbors, equal to me. It used to be over Palestine and Israeli. They needed a different world. They needed a different world. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Everybody talking about making sense, but really sense. Oh, in a different world. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Are you sure we can't just give them credit right now?
Okay, who remembers 10 names
I'm
of the
trying.
best
I'm
fiddle?
on your side. I'm trying. You want to do it now?
Sure, go for it.
Want to give one out? Anybody got 10 things that we talked about? It doesn't have to be just the bass names. Anything that we talked about. Who can say 10 names that we talked about? You know, the things we talked about.
I haven't talked about the drums
Come
yet.
on. John, you gonna do it? Tell us.
The tenor,
Yeah.
and then the clarinet, flute.
Yeah. He's already.
The wah-wah.
Wait, what was the fourth one?
Wawa pedal, great, excellent. I've been fired from bands for that thing.
And
That's a true story.
if you weren't the leader, you know,
That's the Perry.
that's a baritone. That's what
Baritone,
baritone
yes,
is.
very good.
And then
5.
There's
It's so easy.
Doghouse,
Doghouse is 6.
and then there's the stand-up,
Stand up,
upright,
upright, that's 8.
double bass.
9. One more.
Contrabass.
What? Contrabass. You got 9. Got one more.
And then the contrabass.
Hey,
Drumsticks?
harmonica. Just for you people that win
Instructions
these,
in there,
for
don't
people
lose.
that win these things, you want to play them gently for the first while. Don't blow hard because they need to they loosen up. It's called a break-in period. So just play it easy for a while, then
He cheated on the drum
turn
set.
pro.
He did cheat on the drum set. He got the harmonica. He could have had drumsticks.
Number 5.
What's 5? I'd say let's let the good times roll. Are we letting the good times roll?
Back in the prehistoric days, when rock and roll was still going on, there were a couple of guys who wrote songs. They were both